What is the worst slash scariest thing that has woken you up? Woke up to scratching, chittering, and screeching at my second floor window. Sounded otherworldly. Got the courage to look outside. Saw 2 squirrels knocking on a tree branch. That's a lot of nuts. He just left. With nuts. You're gonna love my nuts. Probably the squirrel. The general alarm shrieking through the 1MC speaker right outside of my rack when I was on a submarine. Someone's clothes had caught fire in the dryer, the only one on the boat. I was deep asleep and woke up confused as hell, scared witless and choking on smoke. Just seeing the words fire and submarine in the same sentence gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's a toss-up between a few, but I once woke up after a party at my house to a guy leaning over me saying, "Don't worry, I didn't rape you." We used to have this weird old Labrador that lived next door, but would come sleep at us some nights. It was weird, because it would stand on its hind legs and trot around for a bit, before getting on all fours again. One night I woke to what sounded like someone walking around the room. For about 5 seconds I completely shit myself thinking there was a child walking around my room, before I realized it was that dog. I think it did it for food. In January of this year a car ran into my bedroom at 1 AM. My 2-year-old standing over me with a kitchen knife. He wanted sliced apples at 4 o'clock in the morning and somehow managed to climb up on table and pull out a knife. Now we keep them in the cupboard. My buddy and I were camping and saw a bear, so we decided to sleep in his car. I was still worried about the bear, so it took forever to fall asleep. Well, right after I fell asleep, I woke up to screams and something grabbing my face. I immediately started crying, knowing that a bear was about to rip my face off. Then I realized it was my friend having a night terror. I was livid. DDDDDD. Sounds like you're the one who got the night terror. My daughter was a sleepwalker. There is something so indescribably creepy about waking up to a 4-year-old standing at your bedside, just staring. She wouldn't make a sound. She'd let her stinky breath wake me up. Then once I recovered from the shock of her being there, she'd speak in tongues, because she wasn't really awake. I'd assure her she was asleep and escort her back to her room to be tucked in, never taking my eyes off her for fear her head would swivel around fully, and she'd laugh maniacally at me. Scared the piss out of me every time. A spider landing on my face. In retrospect, the little guy was probably as terrified as I was. Think it had accidentally fallen somehow, but goddamn it was scary. Edit. Well, hot damn. This blew up TLDR for the replies. Spiders do this shit a lot. My husband put on Insidious then left the room. I woke up to the screechy loud violins, and I was so startled I literally fell out of bed. The sound of something breaking over the baby monitor, and my son crying out. He'd managed to ninja his way out of his bed, had no idea until that day he could get over the railing, out of his room, into the bathroom, and found a vase under the sink. Dropped it, which shattered it, and sliced open his leg pretty good. Required casting and surgical repair. He's good now, over a decade later. Limps sometimes when he gets overly tired, but otherwise no permanent damage. Yeah. Babies are like ninjas. Guess they don't cover that in the pamphlets. I've told this before, but my son has taken to sleepwalking. He used to just stand by the bed, silently, until I'd snap awake and see his silhouette looming over me. Now, he's taken to turning on the lights when he's sleepwalking. I woke up one night, and he was standing there, turning the lights on and off, completely zoned out. I get him back to bed, and I think, fuck this, I'm sleeping downstairs for the rest of the night. Around 3 o'clock I wake up. All of the lights downstairs are on. While studying abroad in undergrad, I was staying the night in a hostel in Barcelona. The room I was in was fairly small, probably about 6 bunks. Was sleeping soundly when I suddenly woke up choking, covered in some unknown powder and hearing a loud whooshing sound. Turns out, an extremely drunk Australian decided to spray a fire extinguisher in the room. One time my son woke me in the middle of the night, crawling into my bed and telling me a man was bothering him. I usually try to go banish the monsters in his room so he can go back to sleep in there, so I went and admonished the air, leave my son alone. This isn't your place. This time my son wanted to stay in my room and not go back to his own bed, so I made room for him and moved over to the edge of my bed and fell back asleep. About 30 minutes later, I had a frightening lucid dream that this tall, shrouded man was at the side of my bed and started jabbing at my side, telling me that I interrupted his fun and now he was going to bother me. I couldn't move and I just had to put up with it until I was able to get my dream life willpower to focus and let me move out. What? My math teacher calling out my name 6+ times in a room of 20 other students and me slowly waking up while mumbling shhhhh be quiet, not realizing that the voice I was hearing wasn't, in fact, in a dream. Edit. Eternal gratitude for the silver. Science teacher in high school, very good friend's dad, known him since I was 5, woke me up when I was dozing in class. Teacher, name. What's something that uses pull? Me, clay pigeons. Teacher, clay pigeons, he says. Alright then. Found out later he was so dumbfounded at how quickly I thought of anything he just let it slide. Edit. It was a physics class and he was talking about forces interacting with each other. The sound of my stepfather screaming, "Get the fuck out of our house." I'm in bed thinking that a person is in here, but turns out it was our neighbor's dog, lol. That night there was a storm and it knocked over one of their trees onto our fence, so their dog came into our backyard and into our house through a doggy door. Poor little guy just wanted shelter. This isn't bad or scary, just strange. I was once woken up by a snail. I was sleeping in a room in the basement. One morning, I was woken up by a sound that went squeak, like a squeegee. Tap, 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 squeak, tap, tap, tap. I couldn't figure out what was making the sound, so I looked around the room. When I looked out the window, I saw that a snail was crawling across it and making the sound. The squeak was the snail moving. The tap came from its shell knocking against the glass. Drunk people on July 5th in the USA using up their extra fireworks in the parking lot by trying to aim them at apartment windows that had lights on. What a genuinely stupid idea. Yeah, so stupid. Wanna try? I once dreamt that I woke up to the sound of someone creeping up the steps. I laid there as I heard each floorboard creak, and then a few seconds later I hear my doorknob turn, and then someone comes rushing at me and starts pushing me down and smothering me, and then I actually wake up. Heart and throat, of course. Reminds of that one book about the earwax monster that counts as he creeps up the stairs. What the f? The scariest / worst thing was when I woke up to my bed and pillow being on fire after I accidentally fell asleep with a candle burning. I was reading and dropped off. I was lucky enough to have several bottles of water nearby and was able to put it out, but it was a terrifying way to wake up. My computer awoke from sleep mode. It's loud and has a ton of red LED fans. I thought the devil was summoned. Whenever I try to sleep, the Discord ping sound just blasts loud. It's worse when the Skype call sounds years through your house at 2 AM cause your friend wants to play League. The first time I visited my SO and her family, we stayed at a hotel. It was on the cheaper side because I was staying a week and we didn't have a lot of money. This place was a bit run down and we did find a June bug when we got there. No big deal, shit happens. The first night that we're in bed together, I wake up to something on me. I'm a little baby when it comes to surprises. I felt this thing crawling on my chest and I flipped, literally pulled the covers off, and bolted for the door. I'm standing in the hallway in my boxers breathing like I just ran a marathon. My SO comes out and asks what happened. I explained to her a giant bug was crawling on me. After some searching around we don't find anything. I can't sleep, so I'm laying there and I feel it again. Being awake this time, I looked around to see what it was. Hair. It was my SO's hair that had scared the holy hell out of me. In my slumbering stupor I had mistaken her hair for a giant insect, and she still does not let me live it down. Fell asleep on my arm once when I was 13. Woke up because I couldn't feel it, and in the dark of my room, illuminated only by faint moonlight, I saw an arm on my pillow. It was my arm, of course, but since I had zero feeling of it, I freaked out for like 30 seconds because I thought it had fallen off in the middle of the night. I calmed down and then I jerked off with it. Thanks for watching this video and don't forget to subscribe.